It's called The Art of Storytelling, Building Your Brand by the talented Jovanny Rosado. Jovanny Rosado has taken what he calls an atypical career path and quite literally emerged from the deep sea to his position today, leading strategic communications and media relations at Denterlein, a woman-owned independent strategic communications and public relations agency based in Boston, where he works with several of the agency's largest clients, many in the real estate and healthcare, cultural, and nonprofit industries. As a U.S. Navy submarine veteran, remaining ever adaptive to navigate complex and sensitive issues, while opportunistically being on the lookout is his secret sauce. He brings it to the table of today's competitive business environment, of every organization he works with to help them drive results in today's competitive business environment. Jovanny's diverse background is a testament to his versatility. Growing up in Puerto Rico, he's fluent in both English and Spanish. He has worked at various communications agencies and led communications for a Boston nonprofit. Over many years, this rich diversity of experience has allowed him to craft creative, strategic, multilingual solutions and powerful storytelling that help organizations and individuals succeed and raise their profile and positive impact. He has a knack for media relations and loves the rush of winning a media hit for clients. He has built strong relationships with reporters, editors, and producers in Greater Boston and other markets. Before Denterlein, Jovanny worked at 2 other Boston-based communications agencies and took a hiatus from Denterlein to lead communications at Victory Programs, a local nonprofit serving unhoused families and individuals in recovery. Jovanny graduated from the University of Massachusetts, Boston, with a BA in Communications and Media Studies. Folks, welcome Jovanny to the stage.
Thank you, Cristela, for that great introduction. Thank you to the Amplify team for having me here and for putting together this amazing event. We really need more spaces like this where Latinos can convene, really share our stories, really get to know each other more, and really kind of connect in a way that really shares in gross impact. And today, I'm here to talk to you about storytelling for brand visibility. And how many of you remember ever listening to a really, really good story? Or the first time you ever listened to someone, you were like, wow, this person is such a good storyteller. They really made me feel something. For me, that person was Julita Colon, my grandma. Sitting in her balcony in Puerto Rico, sharing a story with her favorite and most handsome grandson. And Julita had this way about her that everyone in Puerto Rico knew her, whether in our community, at church, or in the more remote parts of the island. Someone would come up like, Julita! She would like, Mera nena! And I'm like, how do you do it? How do you know all these people? And it's because beyond just being a truly caring Latina, Julita was also a good storyteller. And so much so, I remember last year, my partner, who doesn't speak any Spanish at all, met Julita, and he comes up to me after, he goes, I did not understand one word Julita just said. First of all, she speaks so fast. And second, also I do as well. And second, I just don't understand Spanish. But I felt every single word she said in a way that really made me feel that I knew her forever. And that right there is the power of good storytelling. And I think you're wondering, Jovanny, so why are you talking so much about Julita? Well, Julita was a business entrepreneur herself. She would sell pasteles, she sells baked goods during the holidays, and she would be so backed up in orders that then she would be complaining, and she said, estoy cansada, I just can't keep up. I'm like, you did this to yourself. Also, she was a retired nurse, and I remember growing up, and people would come to our house with shots of B12, gauzes, and a bunch of pharmaceutical. I'm like, what are you doing? And she would also help people and take care of their healthcare needs as well, because she had a really good hand for just putting a good shot of B12. And people would pay her for that, which now that I think about it, she was actually running a pretty clandestine business in our home. But I'm not here to tell you how to run your business. I'm here to tell you how to be a storyteller of your business. So today, I'm going to be sharing with you 4 steps for powerful storytelling. But before that, I do want to talk about the power of storytelling itself. Storytelling is actually the most powerful marketing and communications tool for brand visibility to get your business out there, to get your business known, and to really generate results. So much so that cognitive psychologist Jerome Brown said that we are 22 times more likely to remember a fact when it's been wrapped in a story. Imagine how much likely we will be to remember a fact that's been wrapped in a really, really good story, right? Imagine that. So that's what we're here to talk about today. How to do that, Jovanny? How do we get to tell a story and really generate results? And before I go into step one, I'm gonna share one thing, and if there's anything you get out of this presentation today is this. Good story listening always comes before good story telling. And I'm gonna say that one more time. Good story listening always comes before good story telling, which leads me to step one. Identify your goals, identify your audience, their challenges, and their pursuits. And what I mean by identifying your goals is to listen inwards. No one knows your story better than you do. No one knows your business better than you do. And we, Latinos, are innately good storytellers. That's not something that was unique to Julita. That's something that lives in every single one of us. Hispanic culture itself is very much rooted in the idea of storytelling. It's how we connect. It's why we're here. And it's how we know each other, especially in a business environment and in general, an environment that was not originally built for stories like ours. So let's leverage this momentum that we have right now and really make sure our stories get out there. And for that, you first listen in words and identify your goals. What am I trying to do when I'm sharing my story? Am I trying to get more people to my website? Am I trying to get more eyes in this social media campaign that I spend so much time and money into, but it's just not getting enough engagement? Is it a combination of multiple things? Is it just brand visibility more broadly? What's your goal? Think about that first. And then, who am I speaking to? What's my audience? And what are their challenges and their pursuits? And here's what I mean by that. Your audience's challenges is what businesses like you are looking to meet. They have a challenge, and they're seeking for business out there, for products, for a brand, for a partnership, or whatever the case may be that meets this challenge that they have right now. And their pursuits is how they're going out there to seek it. It's how they end up in your website. It's how they end up learning about you, maybe word of mouth, maybe through a newsletter, maybe through the media. That's their pursuit. So first, again, identify your audience, know your goals, and then we get to the fun part, which is storytelling and crafting your story. And a good story has a couple of things. One is it includes a person or a character. As you see brands out there, as you see social media ads, or whatever the case may be, you see that often a lot of these ads include a person, include a character, or something that makes people feel seen in your product, in what you're telling, in your story. Also, in crafting your story, you really need to think about imagery. What are people seeing when I'm putting together my social media campaign or when I'm building my website? What is it that they're looking at first? Is it a person? Is it the text? How do I make this more visually appealing, especially in a digital environment that's so saturated? You walk outside and you're often bombarded, whether on your phone, whether you're just kind of walking around or anywhere, and it's just constant stories, and that's just what we live in. It's ubiquitous. So breaking through is pretty hard, and that's why you have to be intentional about crafting a story that's short, that resonates with people, and also that really inspires action. And someone that actually did this really well recently is Target. And I'm gonna talk about Target's Sin Traducción campaign, which is exactly that, without translation. And what Target did, if you may have seen this on the TV, maybe an ad, or if not, I'm showing it to you right now. But Target put together and brought together a lot of Latino influencers to do one thing. They put them at the table and said, which Target, as you know, is predominantly known for tailoring for a white consumer base. They were struggling to bring in Latino business. So they're like, how do we tap into this group? How do we reach them? How do we get to know them? So they created Sin Traducción. They worked with marketing professionals that told them, you really need to understand your audience first. And they put together, as you see some of the imagery here, there's a family sitting at the table. The place is beautifully decorated by Target products. The table by food they got at Target. Here's his mom taking care of her little arroyo. And she's there holding them. They're like, basically, come in. Here's stuff for your child as well, and for the entire family. They knew that in gathering and in throwing parties is how Latinos really connect. So they made a whole story out of that. And it paid dividends. So much so that they saw a 12% increase in their Latino engagement through their doors by the launch of this campaign. And also, they put in words that no one else understands. Arroyo doesn't really translate in English. Neither does sobremesa. And that's what made it so unique and impactful. They knew their audience, they definitely knew their goal, and they painted a beautiful picture. Which leads me to number 3, sharing your story. And this time, this is not just about sharing your story. This is maybe your one shot to share your story and propose. This is when your ads come in. This is where you say, buy my product. Hey, partner with me. Hey, here's what I have to offer. And to share your story, you really need to think about who is sharing my story for me. Am I sharing it myself, or am I working with communications professional? Whether it's in-house and I have my own communications team, whether you hire a communications agency, or maybe you're a micro business and you're Jovanny, but I'm a one-person show. I'm the marketing and the communications person too. Well, I'm here to tell you that you too can infuse personal stories and all of these elements into your marketing campaign to make sure that it really resonates and that it connects with people. And one other example I want to share today is from Mount Auburn Cemetery in Cambridge. I know, a cemetery. Why? Well, here's what the story I'm here to share you. So Mount Auburn Cemetery, as you know, historic, active cemetery in Cambridge, beautiful. They had this question about how can we bring more people to our burial grounds? How can we tell people that we're not just an active cemetery, but we're a place that we have programming, where people can come in and find solace, where people can come in and hang out? This is a space for all. So how do we tell people that? So they took an old tradition that they called the solstice, during the winter solstice, and it used to be a candle lighting event. And that was it, very ceremonial, very small. And they said, we're gonna take it to a large scale. And they made a huge art exhibit, an immersive art exhibit at night, where people would come in and really connect with this environment and with the light and with the stories that Mount Auburn had to tell. What was fascinating to me, particularly about what Mount Auburn did here, is that the person and the character was the audience themselves. They said, come in, be part of our story, be part of Mount Auburn Cemetery, be part of the solstice. And through word of mouth, and through people seeing that, and people sharing it on social, and being back part of this momentum, they saw over 12,000 people visited Mount Auburn Cemetery in December for their solstice event. That is fascinating. That's the power of storytelling, people. And one more step that I have for you all today is to remain adaptable. Even the biggest companies to the smallest, sometimes your story will fall flat. I'm not here to tell you that these 4 steps are always gonna work. Sometimes it just happens. Again, our environment is oversaturated. We're often bombarded by digital media. And sometimes our story just doesn't come through. Look at Apple. Apple recently is facing backlash when they launched their new iPad Pro, where one of their ads was very much a big iron platform crushing guitars, musical instruments, paint, and a bunch of creative assets, basically saying, you don't need these things anymore. Everything is here. Everything is digital. And they faced instant backlash for the creative community, from business community and all, and they quickly pivoted. If you see now, they quickly took down the ad, and now it's a more digital and more immersive kind of campaign that really doesn't mention the creative at all, but it just offers the product itself. So again, what I'm trying to tell you is that sometimes you really need to remain adaptable and think through analytics and work with someone. What am I doing to make sure that my story is coming through? Are people actually engaging with it? Is it falling flat? Am I wasting my money in this? So it's important to, again, remain adaptable. That's critical. And lastly, in a more personal note, what's most important about storytelling beyond these steps is that no one knows your story better than you do. Every single person in this room is very authentic. You have your own story. You know how you got here. You know how you became an entrepreneur. And that's something that I have to tackle myself. As someone from Puerto Rico, a queer person, also a US Navy veteran, I've always, when I came into the communications field, I really had to make my case about, this is why I'm bringing a different perspective. This is what I've tried really hard to be where I am. This is the milestones that I've had to overcome. And I'm not afraid to share that story, and you shouldn't either, because by sharing those stories, it's how you start connecting with people. It's how people start saying, you're just like me. I trust you. I trust in your brand. I trust what you're doing. And that, again, is the power of storytelling. And lastly, think about your audience, think about your goals, and have fun, really, in sharing your story. Work with professionals that really understand how to infuse it, but always make sure that it's authentic and it's specific to you. And lastly, I want you to look to the person on your left and the person on your right and think, what do I know about their story? Do I know what they're here for? And start connecting. When you go out there, try to network and think, what's your story? And then at the end of the day, come back to this and think, which of those stories did I actually remember? And those were the stories that were told well. Thank you.
Give it up again for Jovanny.